cheat.
Hey, it's Josh from Purity Feed and Kamloops, and in this video I'll be demonstrating how to calibrate a broadcast pesticide sprayer. Now, in short, calibration is the process of ensuring that you get the proper amount of pesticide sprayed across a target area. And when we're talking about calibration, we're concerned with four key variables. The first variable is the delivery rate of the product that you're using, so the pesticide in this case. And you can find that delivery rate directly on the product label. It's typically expressed in either liters per acre or liters per hectare, and that's really just the amount of spray solution, so not just the concentrated pesticide, but also any water and other tank additives that you've put into the tank that you're trying to spray, trying to broadcast across a specific area. Moving on to the second variable, that is the swath width of the unit that you're using. So what that is the distance, the width between one side of your swath when you're spraying a single path and the other side. And there's a couple ways that we can measure that one. The first way being the distance between two side-by-side nozzles multiplied by the number of nozzles. So in this case, 7 nozzles on the boom. The distance between 2 times 7. The second way of doing it would be to do a test run, as I mentioned, fill it up with water, do a single path with it, and then actually go out and measure from one side of the swath to the other with a tape measure. And the third, which is my preferred way of doing it, is just to look at the owner's manual for the unit that you're using. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm using a 25-gallon Fimco ATV sprayer with a 7-nozzle boom, and on its owner manual, it lists the swath width as 140 inches, so about 3.5 meters or just under 12 feet. The third variable is the sprayer's output, and that is going to be expressed in liters per minute, the total amount that the sprayer puts out in a 1-minute period. And how we go about measuring this is taking a sample measurement from multiple different nozzles, averaging them out, and multiplying them by the total number of nozzles on the unit. For this video, for time's sake, we'll just use 2 nozzles. So we'll measure the first one for a minute, measure the second one for a minute, average them out, and then multiply them to get our total output for the sprayer. So let's go ahead and do that now. Just turn on the unit here with the switch, valve at the back to turn on the boom. And I should mention that you would typically hook this up to your unit's battery, or the unit being the vehicle that you're using's battery. But for this video, we're just using a 12-volt car battery. So we'll turn on the boom, get it spraying here, and then just select one nozzle to test first. All right, so our first nozzle had an output of 550 milliliters. Now we'll move on to the second one. Okay, so the output for our second nozzle was 600 milliliters. So if we take the 550 milliliters from our first nozzle, 600 milliliters from our second nozzle, we average those out, we get 575 milliliters of output per minute. Then we'll want to multiply that by the number of nozzles. So we have 7 nozzles here, 575 multiplied by 7 gets us just over 4 liters per minute of total output for the unit. So now we know our delivery rate, we know our swath width, we know our sprayer output. We can move on to the last variable, being the speed to maintain with your vehicle as you're spraying. And for that one, we can use the other variables in a pretty simple formula. So we'll move on to that now. Okay, so transitioning digitally now, we have our 4 variables laid out here. Beginning with the delivery rate, I've chosen to go with 135 liters per hectare, just an arbitrary number for simplicity purposes with the formula that we'll be using. If you needed to, you could always convert this into liters per acre just by dividing the number by 2.471. Next is our swath width. which, as I said, I took straight from the user manual. The manual listed it as 140 inches, which I've converted to 3.556 meters. Moving on, we have our sprayer output, which we just calculated to be 4.025 liters per minute. And that leaves us with just the speed in kilometers per hour remaining to figure out. As I said, we can calculate that using a formula, really two formulas, but they're just variations of each other. The first one is as displayed here, and it's a little bit more tricky, a little bit more tedious, because it's kind of a trial and error process. Because our speed, our unknown variable, is not isolated, we need to plug and play to see which speed will give us our delivery rate of 135 liters per hectare. So if we keep trying different speeds, eventually we should be able to get to that 135 as our outcome. Alternatively, we can rearrange this formula, isolating the speed on its own, and because we know the values for each variable on the other side, we can get an exact speed. So if we do that here, plug each variable in, we can get a grand reveal of 5.03 kilometers per hour. And if that speed is maintained while spraying, you should get an adequate and an even distribution over your target area. I should mention though, that is assuming that you're turning off the boom, turning off the unit, and stopping spraying when you're not in the target area. Alright, that is going to do it for this video. But thank you for watching, and I hope you find it helpful when going to calibrate your own sprayers in the future. If you did enjoy the content, don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, depending on what platform that you're watching it on, because we will be coming out with more content in the future.
From your puppy to your lawn seed, PurityFeed.com.